The first one arrived in silence, cloaked in shimmer steel and confidence. A scientist, explorer, emissary of a species that mapped galaxies like children map playgrounds. He touched down in the Peruvian rainforest and vanished for 6 days. When he returned, he refused to speak, just stared at the stars, trembling. The second landed in the Arctic, where no war had ever been fought. He emerged 5 hours later, muttering about megafauna and something he called ice screams. His report was sealed, his eyes hollow. The third, she toured Earth's cities, walked among humans, even visited a sports stadium mid-championship. She left early, no explanation. Only this, a broadcast across her sector warning every known civilization to avoid Earth unless prepared for anomalies. No details, just one word, repeated. Unpredictable. Now across the stars, a new message spreads, not from Earth, but from those who dared to visit. And it's not a welcome. It's a warning. They call it the spiral conquered, 1,000 species, 1,000,000 worlds, all bound by treaties, protocols, and an obsessive need for control. In this galactic order, knowledge is currency, hierarchy is law, and stability is sacred. Every new race is documented, categorized, and if necessary, contained. The oldest empires, like the Veiltar Dominion and the Drenari Compact, have ruled for millennia, wielding logic like a weapon. To them, civilization means predictability. Risk is chaos. Chaos is failure. When Earth was first detected, the galactic census labeled it deathworld class Vive. Not because of our weapons, not because of our wars, but because of our environment. Volatile tectonics, aggressive megafauna, atmospheric unpredictability, and sentient life forms evolved through conflict and adaptation. In short, Earth was wild. And the spiral concord doesn't like wild. At first they ignored us, primitive, emotion-driven, short-lived, not worth engaging beyond basic surveillance. We weren't a threat, we were a curiosity. A young species playing with fire. But then came the transmissions. Broadcasts from Earth pierced deep space. Music, film, news, memes, unfiltered data streams loaded with raw emotion, creativity, and contradiction. No encryption, no caution. Just a flood of humanity pouring into the stars. Some alien scholars called it beautiful, others called it noise. But one thing was clear. It was unlike anything they'd ever encountered. No other species spoke like this, dreamed like this, dared like this. That's when the first expedition was sent. Quiet, scientific, pure observation. But Earth did not play by their rules. They expected static biomes. They found ecosystems that defied classification. They expected calm analysis. They were met with passionate unpredictability. They expected a species that feared the unknown. Instead, they found a people who embraced it, who ran toward danger, laughed in the face of uncertainty, and adapted faster than simulations could predict. Humanity wasn't just surviving Earth. We were thriving because of it. To the spiral conquered, this was deeply unsettling. A species that evolved through chaos couldn't be trusted with galactic stability. We were too flexible, too emotional, too inventive. We didn't fit the pattern. So new protocols were drafted. Observation became restricted. Diplomacy delayed. Earth was to be classified as an uncontrolled variable. Containment, if necessary, would be authorized. But it was already too late. 3 observers had already landed. And what they saw shattered their confidence in the spiral's order. Because Earth didn't just resist control, it exposed the fragility of the system itself. And the worst part? Humans didn't even know they were being tested. It began with an encrypted pulse from the edge of Concord space, originating from Zalek Station, an orbital archive housing one of the spiral's greatest xenoanthropologists, Dr. Terrell of the Enkindled Thought. He was the first of the 3 to set foot on Earth. His message bypassed formal communication channels and went straight to the Concord Security Directive. It carried no introduction, no summary, only a direct neural imprint designed for instantaneous absorption by high-ranking officials. The content? A sensory stream. Not words, not analysis. Just experiences. The smell of a thunderstorm before it breaks. The sound of children screaming with laughter beside a jungle river. The sight of a fire ant swarm disassembling a drone in 30 seconds flat. The sensation of standing in front of a volcanic vent in Iceland, heart pounding, heat singeing fur. And finally, the silence. A silence so profound it shook Tyrell's soul inside a human library, where knowledge was stored not in neural crystals, but in paper. The transmission was followed by just 3 spoken words in accented galactic standard. Do not return. At first, the council assumed Tyrell had suffered mental degradation. Psychological breakdowns during deathworld expeditions were rare, but not unheard of. They dispatched a recovery team, cautious, armed, discreet. That team never made landfall. Before entering Earth's atmosphere, their vessel was bombarded, not by missiles but by signals. A wall of overlapping frequencies, from AM radio to Wi-Fi to baby monitors and deep-sea sonar. The ship's AI couldn't distinguish signal from noise. Systems overloaded. The mission was aborted. Next came Isla Kaur, a socio-cultural analyst from the pacifist Clade. She attempted peaceful observation, embedded in human urban centers using holographic disguise. She lasted 5 days. Her report was equally fragmented. They dance in the streets during chemical storms. They argue for sport. They build flying machines for fun and ride them into fire. When pressed for analysis, she simply said, "They are not like us. They are not like anyone." The tipping point came with the third visitor, a high-ranking evaluator named Sirox Van, sent with authority to determine Earth's classification fate. After spending just 48 hours exposed to human culture, watching political debates, sports riots, internet trends, and a 5-year-old used duct tape to fix a broken toy, he transmitted one final warning across interstellar space. His message was clear: compressed, looped, and now broadcast across black market networks. Earth is not chaotic. Earth is conscious chaos. They adapt faster than we can calculate. Avoid contact. Avoid provocation. If they come to the stars, prepare. And just like that, the spiral Concorde's silent watch over Earth ended. Not because we threatened them, but because they were afraid we might do nothing. And that nothing could be worse than war. No one on Earth knew they were being studied. There were no announcements, no sightings that made global headlines. The observers came and went like shadows, assuming they could monitor us without ripples. But Earth ripples in ways you cannot measure. It started subtly. Ham radio operators in Brazil picked up strange static that pulsed with patterns. Cryptographers on online forums mistook it for an alternate reality game. Within hours, a global Discord server was launched. Signal junkies forum Unchained, and thousands of users began decoding the interference. They didn't know it was alien. They didn't care. It was a puzzle, and humans love puzzles. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, a street performer with a violin began mimicking the tonal patterns embedded in the distortion. The audio clip went viral. People called it space jazz. Within 2 days, entire TikTok dance trends emerged, imitating what would later be identified as the distress rhythms of the second alien visitor. Unwittingly, Earth responded with curiosity, remix culture, and humor. Elsewhere in Montana, a retired electrical engineer named Janice Bowman began rebuilding her old analog receiver to clean up the noise. She shared blueprints online. Hundreds followed her lead. Someone 3D printed a new dish from repurposed microwave parts. A high school robotics team in Nigeria improved it. Then someone streamed a live decoding attempt on Twitch. What started as static became a cultural movement. Not coordinated, not organized, but undeniably human. Then came the message. Someone, no one knows who, managed to isolate a clean segment of the alien broadcast. It was looped, repeated. It contained the phrase, "Avoid Earth, unstable, pattern-breaking species." It was meant as a warning. But to humans, it sounded like a challenge. Memes exploded. Pattern breakers anonymous. Hoodies printed with the phrase, "Unstable lifeform." Universities held themed lecture series. One popular influencer got it tattooed on his forearm next to a velociraptor wearing a NASA helmet. Governments didn't respond formally. There was nothing official to respond to. But intelligence agencies took notice. Quietly, global listening posts upgraded their deep space monitoring arrays, not to block alien signals, but to understand them. Private companies joined in. One tech startup in Bangalore launched ChaosNet, an open-source AI trained on human improvisation to respond to alien input. Elon Musk tweeted a meme of a Martian face being photoshopped onto the Mona Lisa with the caption, "When they realize Earth is the glitch in the simulation." Some saw the alien warnings as fear, others as validation. But everyone agreed on one thing. We were being noticed. And if the galaxy was afraid of us, maybe it was time to start paying attention back. We didn't send diplomats, we sent artists. We sent code. We sent laughter, sarcasm, documentaries, prank videos, complex math woven into jazz improvisations, graffiti on satellites, and a 7-minute symphony made entirely from microwave beeps and startup sounds. Our answer wasn't official, it wasn't strategic, it was chaotic, beautiful, collaborative, defiant. And the message was clear. You came to observe, we noticed, we responded. You're not ready for what comes next. The Spiral Concorde doesn't panic. It adjusts, it models, it calculates. But Earth wouldn't fit in their models, and that broke them. After the viral human responses to the first 3 observers, the Council launched Protocol Stabilis, an initiative to reassess Earth's status through remote simulations and AI-guided containment. No more direct visits, no more risk. This time they'd observe from a distance and predict our evolution. They failed in the first week. Their predictive models couldn't keep up. Human behavior contradicted every algorithm. One moment we were launching telescopes to the edges of the universe. The next we were building orbital catapults to toss cheeseburgers into space for internet clout. To the Concorde, it was madness. To us, Tuesday. The AI assigned to monitor Earth, Calculatrix ZN12, shut itself down after declaring its logic matrices philosophically compromised. Translated loosely, that meant, I don't understand you people, and I don't want to. Still, the Council pressed on. They infiltrated our networks with low-grade probes, tried to mimic online behavior, masqueraded as users on forums and platforms. But the internet is not a stream, it's a storm. They were exposed in days. A meme war erupted on Reddit. Users started feeding the suspected alien bots with deliberately insane content, fictional conspiracy theories, recipes made entirely of glue, existential debates using nothing but emoji. A post titled, "Is Spaghetti a Form of Liquid?" went so viral that it appeared in Concorde intelligence briefings. What was satire? What was serious? Even humans didn't always know, and that terrified the Concorde more than any weapon. Meanwhile, Earth kept moving. Not in sync, not united, but in motion. A rogue think tank in Argentina developed a solar cell prototype based on public domain sci-fi novels. A 16-year-old in rural India hacked together a deep space transponder using copper wire and salvaged drones. In Iceland, a group of sound artists embedded encoded human DNA sequences into whale songs and transmitted them through modified buoys. None of this was coordinated, yet all of it reached space. And still, the spiral couldn't make sense of us. Their systems, built to predict, to categorize, to control, began to fracture. Internal debates erupted within Concorde Command. Some argued for containment. Others warned that provoking humanity might awaken something even worse. Our curiosity. Then came the leak. A disgraced spiral analyst published a classified report titled Projected Human Impact on Galactic Stability, 500-Year Simulation. It spread like wildfire across shadow networks. The conclusion? If left unchecked, human influence could destabilize 63% of current galactic cultural models within 5 centuries without military conquest, merely by being who they are. That did it. Concorde morale collapsed. They had studied species that wielded antimatter, that terraformed gas giants, that bent space with thought. But none of them had made the spiral afraid. Humanity did. Not with power, with unpredictability, with defiance, with creativity that had no leash, no logic, and no end. Earth had become a variable not even the galaxy's greatest minds could calculate. And for the first time in millennia, the Spiral Concorde faced a truth their order could not process. There are things in the universe you do not control, and one of them calls itself human. The moment everything changed didn't come from a government directive, a scientific breakthrough, or a show of force. It began with something far simpler, yet infinitely more human. A story. It was posted on a quiet corner of the Earth's global web. No media coverage, no funding, just one person, anonymous, unverified, unstoppable, who uploaded a piece of fiction titled How Humanity Accidentally Became Galactic Counselors. It imagined a future where humans didn't conquer the stars, but healed them, where their emotional depth, absurd creativity, and utter disregard for galactic etiquette made them the only species capable of solving problems no one else dared to touch. Empires toppled by heartfelt speeches. Space whales soothed with lullabies. Civil wars diffused using comedy and karaoke. No one was supposed to take it seriously, but they did. The story leaked into conquered networks, translated, studied, shared. It spread like wildfire, not as classified intelligence, but as art. And that was the problem, because it resonated. Entire alien forums broke protocol to discuss it. Educators analyzed it, students quoted it. The line that shook the spiral concord wasn't a threat. It wasn't even strategic. It was this: humanity is what happens when the universe forgets the rules and something beautiful grows in the cracks. That sentiment pierced deeper than any weapon. Suddenly the narrative began to shift. The fear that defined Earth's galactic reputation began to unravel. The Council had tried to label humans as dangerous anomalies. But what if they were something else? What if they were the future? And then Earth did something no civilization had ever done. A coalition of independent creators, artists, comedians, game designers, chaos coders, banded together to launch the Human Cultural Archive into deep space. Not a weapon, not a probe, a signal. Title: This is who we are. Inside, no declarations, no demands, just laughter, heartbreak, stories, music, failures, sketches, dances, theories, awkward moments, late-night genius, and midnight madness. Humanity, unfiltered. Aliens couldn't look away, because in that chaos they saw something terrifying. Potential. The kind that couldn't be predicted, only witnessed. Across the galaxy, alien youth began quoting human poets. Conquered cultural firewalls were quietly disabled. In the depths of the bureaucratic machine, something stirred. Not fear, but fascination. The question was no longer, what will the humans do? It became, what might we become if we let a little humanity in? The galaxy didn't collapse overnight, but it did pause. For the first time in centuries, the spiral concord delayed its standard protocol reviews. Internal directives were quietly suspended. New committees were formed, not to debate containment, but to study possibility. In Earth, we barely noticed. Governments remained unaware of the cultural shockwave spreading through the stars, but at the edges of public consciousness, something shifted. SETI programs received strange musical pulses that mirrored jazz scales. Astronomers recorded stars blinking in prime number sequences. A retired linguist in Morocco claimed a dream in which she saw equations written in a language she'd never learned. And when she drew them, alien AI across the spiral flagged the symbols as culturally reactive. We still didn't know what we had done, but the galaxy did. On distant worlds, human media became black market currency. Galactic diplomats quoted Terran literature in summit halls. Underground art circles mixed Earth emotion into sterile alien traditions. One rogue species even began implementing structured chaos rituals inspired by Earth's improv theater. And within the spiral concord itself, a schism formed. The old guard, rationalists, centralists, those who feared Earth's chaos, tightened their grip on power. But cracks spread fast. A younger generation, inspired by what they called the human spark, began to question everything: their systems, their culture, their future. Back on Earth, a few signals reached us. A brief message embedded in a microwave background fluctuation. We heard your story. It changed us. Another in the form of particles arranged in Fibonacci spirals across a Martian rover's solar panel. We're not afraid anymore. No invasion, no conquest, just whispers across the void. And in the midst of it all, humanity kept being human. We fought over petty politics. We invented faster memes than machines could index. We built skyscrapers and debated pineapple on pizza. We sent more junk into space. We taught algorithms to paint. We wrote love letters to the stars. Because that's what we do. And the galaxy, after all its attempts to model, predict, or suppress us, had begun to understand. We are not the glitch in the system. We are the next iteration of the code. Not perfect, not superior, but different. Capable of failure, capable of brilliance, and most dangerous of all, capable of changing others just by being ourselves. In the ruins of certainty, humanity had not brought war, but something far more disruptive. Hope. They came expecting a species to observe, categorize, and file away. What they found was a mirror they didn't know they feared. We didn't conquer their worlds. We infected their imagination. And now, across the stars, in places where emotion was once forbidden and art dismissed as primitive, a new whisper spreads through corridors of logic and power. If humanity ever reaches the stars, nothing will ever be the same again. Because we are not the silence. We are the signal, unfiltered, unpredictable, unstoppable.